Guys, I wasn't planning to do any more videos for this week. I was going to be releasing something next week, but it occurred to me, I just had a random thought, and I thought I need to maybe just voice this out a little bit and see what everybody thinks. And I think the dumper has a real problem, has a real big problem when they decide to end a relationship. And that's not to invalidate how the dumpees are feeling. Yes, you've got significant challenges at the moment. You've been dumped, and that sucks balls. But hear me out, and let's just look at what the dumper is facing, because they've had to make a huge decision, and they are banking on that it's the right decision. They are banking on this, and the one thing that they don't bank on is your silence, and this is where it can be a big problem for them. So stay tuned, and we'll get a little bit more into why a breakup is a big problem for the dumper. But as always, welcome back to the Love Fix. It's Nick, doing my best to get you through your breakups as easily and as healthily as possible. And if today's video is not enough for you, you can reach out to me at thelovefix20@gmail.com, and we can discuss your personal breakup situation if you need my bespoke advice to help you get through a very tough situation. So join me on yet another video of compassionate advice, but without the bullshits. So why is the breakup a big problem for the dumper? Why does the dumper have a big problem? Because, as I just mentioned, they are counting on a number of things. They are counting on a number of variables that are going to go their way. They are expecting that all of their problems will be solved through this breakup. And both you and I know that is not true. It will solve a few things, and maybe they get a little bit of relief and they get a bit of euphoria, but that all wears off very quickly. And they're also banking on that they can get a new relationship very quickly. Now, assuming that they have monkey branched or rebounded, that relationship very rarely works out the way they want it to. So they're also counting on you being there as a backup option. And if there's one thing I try to drill into everybody, is not to be a backup option, is not to be a second choice. And that's why the gift of your silence is so powerful, because it's going to call into question their decision. It's going to call into question their path now, and it's just going to flip everything on its head. Because I've said so many times that a breakup is not fun for the dumper, and I can tell you from personal experience that is the case. It's not fun being a dumper. One, you don't want to hurt anybody, and it's a lifestyle change. It's a big change. That person will no longer be there in your life. So it's a huge decision, and it's a big problem. They've had a problem of building this up in their heads for maybe a few weeks or even months now. They've had the problem of, okay, what do I do after this person is no longer in my life? But they're not thinking long term. They're not thinking, okay, how will I feel after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? They're not thinking that. And they're not prepared for the repercussions or the potential fallout or the side effects of the breakup. And maybe they have been the dumper in every relationship beforehand. But here's the thing about human beings, guys. We don't actually remember pain. Try to remember back to a time where you hurt yourself physically, you broke your arm or something. You know that you remember that it sucked, but you don't actually remember the pain. And it's the same with emotional pain. And I know with my last breakup, it sucked balls, but I can't really remember the pain. I can't really remember that physical feeling that I had. So what I want you to do now is really try to think about that. Okay, do I remember what that pain felt like? And this is what the dumper's going through. So when you give them the gift of your silence, when you remove yourself from the equation, when you do everything opposite of what they expect of you, because they're expecting you to chase, they're expecting you to beg, plead, they're expecting you to be dramatic. And you're not doing that. You're flipping it on its head. And there is a saying, and I've said it before, when your enemies are making mistakes, don't interrupt them. Now, I don't want you to consider your ex the enemy, but don't interrupt them if they're making mistakes. Don't interrupt them if they are monkey branching. Don't interrupt them if they are rebounding. Don't interrupt them if they have convinced themselves that this breakup is the best thing for them. Now, disclaimer guys, maybe it is the best thing. Some relationships are meant to end. Some relationships should never have existed. And you will know deep down with your personal situation if that's true or not. You will know deep down if you were ever truly compatible with each other. But we have to come at this from a different angle. Your natural instinct is to beg, to plead, to chase. And what you're doing, by doing that, what you are doing, you are interrupting the mistakes that your ex is making. Because when you do that, you validate their position and their decision to dump you. So, you need to give them a problem. You need to call into question their decision. And the way you do that, the way you get somebody else's attention is by removing yours. And I don't know for 100% certain that they will reach out. It certainly increases the odds. But if you take my situation, for example, my ex never reached out, not once. And I did no contact to the book, to the letter. But she still had a problem. She had to now face life without me. She had to face life without my emotional support, my financial support, my physical support, and any other type of support you can think of. Now, obviously, it's been 2 years, or over 2 years now, and she's obviously dealt with that. But if you are in that beginning stage, trust me, guys, your ex has a big problem right now, because they now have to adapt to their new environment. They have to adapt to you not being there. And that's a problem for anybody. Human beings like homeostasis, and if you don't know what homeostasis means, it means normality. Human beings typically do not like change. Human beings like the status quo. Human beings like everything to be quite mundane. And that brings me to a point. I see a lot of relationships fail because of a few reasons, but this is one of the main ones. It's a never-ending roller coaster of ups and downs, highs and lows, extreme happiness and extreme sadness, extreme drama. When in fact, guys, the best relationships out there are actually quite mundane. The day-to-day is actually quite normal. But what these relationships actually get right is they work on themselves. They don't seek approval from their partners. They don't seek validation from their partners. But they do turn up for themselves, and they do turn up for the relationship. It's the little things that they do every day by saying, hey, just saying I love you because I love you. And I'm not saying it to hear it back. It's that random call, that random text message, that random act of kindness, that few key words, I hear you. That's all. So, take a step back today, guys, and appreciate that you're going to be okay, and your ex at one time or another, firstly, loved you very much. And just because they've lost emotional attraction for you now, doesn't mean that they never cared. It doesn't mean they won't miss you. And it doesn't mean they won't have second thoughts. Because, guys, the biggest problem that the dumper has is that they get a delayed reaction. It catches up to them 3 or 6 months later, sometimes even later than that, when you are well on your way to healing, when you are well on your way to being in relief as opposed to anxiety. Whether they reach out or not is another story. That's another conversation. And there's no real science that can accurately predict that. Sure, do people reach out? Absolutely. Do they reach out to reconcile? Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes they just reach out because they're feeling lonely or they're testing the waters. They want to see if you've done the work on yourself. So, and I've been in this situation, guys, where I've been the dumper and the dumpee hasn't reached out to me, and at one time or another, I was having an absolute meltdown, anxiety, and ended up reaching out. And that person had moved on, already seeing someone else, was in a better place, or just knew that we wasn't right for each other. It's happened to me, guys. And it's happened to a lot of people that I've spoken to. So trust me when I say the dumper has a huge fucking problem. And the biggest problem will be you not being there and the gift of your silence. And that's all I've got for today. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. You will be okay. You are enough. And I promise you're on your way to getting better. And your next relationship will be better. Or if you reconcile, it will be better if you do the work on yourself. Take care, guys. I'll see you on the other side.